Hey, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're at the Challenge Daytona and the PTO 2020 Championship. We are brought to you by Captiva Spine, John Hall Chevrolet, USA Triathlon Foundation Risk Partners, and the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization. Our next guest, three-time Olympian Lisa Norden, and 2012 Olympic silver medalist, and that still bothers her. How are you doing, Lisa?
Thanks for reminding me. I was very well, thank you.
I think I brought a photo of the photo finish. I was going to show you that again. And have you and Nicola.
I had that finish on a cake, too.
You had it in a cake?
Big-size cake, yeah.
Did someone do that for you?
They did. The Swedish journalists.
Yes.
Before, it was 2 weeks after, and they were waiting for the CAS decision to see if it was going to be changed.
Oh, because they thought because you appealed that they might change it.
And then the cake is kind of sat in the hotel after that because it didn't get changed.
Oh, because they were going to do a celebration.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we lost. I would have eaten the cake anyways at that point.
Well, we actually forgot about it because then we went to race, and I only realized when I got to the next camp location, I was like, oh shit, the cake is still in the hotel.
I mean, for there to be a photo finish at the end of the Olympic race, Olympic triathlon, that's unbelievable, right? That's the last thing you got to be thinking about is, well, gosh, I hope I win the photo finish.
Well, I think they you guys had 2 hours.
Yeah, couldn't you figure it
out before? Exactly. Well, there's been some epic sprint finishes before, right?
Right.
The high V one, which
yes,
is like a
with
5-way
5-6
finish.
guys, yeah.
And there's been like occasions, obviously, with sprint finishes, but never quite that close. And not in the Olympics.
Not in the Olympics. So was it one of those things on that day where you just couldn't get rid of each other?
Well, I think it's when it's so much at stake.
Yes.
You want to play your cards right.
Yes.
And we had kind of a race plan that we figured out before. And knowing Nicola, she's the best sprinter out there. There's no one who's got that kick that she has.
You want to make sure it didn't come down to the sprint.
Well, we tried before, and there was a point where like it's going to be a sprint finish. And we practiced that, so we had a plan for it.
Because Darren Smith thought it was going to come down.
Well, he wrote a letter to us about 6 months before, where he basically put the race to the point with what was going to happen.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite incredible.
Wow.
It was like you had this, the
little graph
crystal ball. Yeah,
and he basically said this is going to come down to a sprint finish.
So he prepared us, and my instructions before was to when you get there, there's going to be about 5 girls left in the race. The last K is going to be super fast, and it's going to come down to a sprint. If you start, you're not going to beat her because she's the fastest. So you're going to have to wait. Once she starts to kick, you're going to surprise her, because we practiced a lot that summer to trying to increase the sprint. We had a race about 6 weeks before in Kitzbühel.
Yes.
Where I was left behind, like I was standing still.
Yeah.
So between that, we done some big changes. And Darren was like, you're going to surprise her because you're going to have more than she thinks that you will have.
Had you had close races with Nicola leading into that?
Well, the last race before the Olympics, she was first and I was second. And she left me for dead in the kick. So.
But basically you were with her and then she kicked and won.
Yeah. Basically.
So from that point until the Olympics, you worked on the kick so that you could reverse that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was a little late to reply.
Yes.
And I'm not a super fast athlete. I'm a bit of a slow twitch diesel kind of athlete. Yeah. And it's just I was a little lagging before I managed to get everything revving and going.
So when you hit the line, was there any words exchanged during the race itself?
During the race, no, it's just everyone is super focused and quiet.
Yeah. And when you did you think you had won?
No, I had no idea actually.
Yeah.
And it was also where the banner, the finishing banner was compared to the line, and you don't quite know. You just go for it.
The line and the finish banner.
But I was super, super happy because I won a medal.
Right.
And that was, for me, there's some picture where I threw my arms up and I had some people asking, did you think you won? And I was like, no, I just celebrated because I won a medal.
You won the silver.
Exactly. And in the Olympics, there's 3 winners. Because there's 3 on the podiums.
Right.
And if you're 4th, 5th, 6th, it doesn't really matter. But if you're on the podium...
Hey, you never even want to be looking up at anybody when you're on the podium. When you want to be looking down at someone. But being on the podium is being on the podium.
Yeah.
I remember talking to McKeely Jones when we were in Sydney for that Olympics, and she got the silver and was out sprinted, right?
Yep.
Sprint, right? And she was like, That whole right away, it was I won the silver. I came here to be on the podium, and I won the silver. So it was never, it wasn't, I wished I had gotten the gold. I'm sure internally she was saying that. Did you feel that way, that I won the silver medal?
Well, I think there was a feeling at the race briefing that everyone who was there was kind of a winner, because you had these 2-3 years progress of qualifying.
Right.
And everyone who was there, even if you were the last qualifier, you qualified to the Olympics.
So the pressure was a little off at that point.
Yeah, it was a little off. And for most of the athletes, it's getting to the Olympics.
Right.
That's the main thing, being an Olympian, representing your country at the Olympics.
Sure.
And there's only a handful that are hoping to win it, because everyone knows, I'm not going to get on the podium.
Right.
I might get 20th or 15th.
Yes.
But then the next section is like, okay, I think I have a shot at this.
Right.
And being an Olympic medalist, obviously, is everyone's dream. But earning that medal, like for my country, winning an Olympic medal, that's big. It's huge. And of course, it's a big difference with Olympic gold. But the biggest difference is the medal.
Right, exactly.
So for me, that was like, wow. I'm going to stand there on the podium with flowers, and I'm going to get a medal, and all these things.
After the race, did you guys chat?
Well, it's incredibly busy.
Yes,
so we have that moment, and everyone, like Erin as well, Nicola, like we all congratulate each other, and like awesome and well done and how cool this is. And then you have the presentation, and then everyone is whisked away to their press conferences and with their countries and prime ministers or whatever stuff you have to do.
Did you? Has there been a conversation since? Have you guys ever sat down and talked about the race?
Well, like I raced Nicola a couple of times, but she's been busy having kids and stuff as well, and she doesn't race and I stepped away from the ITU stuff as well, so I actually haven't. And she's not in a group where we would having training camps together or same coaches.
Sure, but you'll see her here.
I see her here, exactly, yeah.
And you guys sit down and talk about hey, remember that? I think we had a pretty good race.
I was the one who was just behind you.
Legendary race. That'd be sort of cool if this came down to that here.
It would be, yeah. Well, here we have even more than 2 hours to figure stuff out, so hopefully it won't be a sprint finish.
That'd be really fun. The 3 Olympic experiences, just... Like you said, it's a pinnacle to get to the Olympics. 3 times there. Obviously, getting the silver is awesome. But what was the first experience like when you went to Beijing?
Oh, it's like the whole thing is they all so different from each other.
Yeah.
2008, I basically made a debut on the biggest scene in 2007. And I won the under 23 World Champs 2007.
Yeah.
And I got on the podium 2008 in my first World Cup race. And it was after Emma Snowsill and Vanessa Fernandez.
Oh my God!
So the 2 big ones, the 2 idols. So 2008, I was very, very young and very new to the whole scene of racing at that level. Happy to be there, and over the moon to be representing Sweden, seeing all the superstars in the village, like meeting all the Swedish superstars, the track and field team,
from other sports.
Exactly. So it was a big, big adventure, but also a great disappointment, I think, after. And I was in tears after the race.
Why?
So I had a medal at Europeans. I got a couple of World Cup podiums. I ended up with the 5th fastest run time, but I had a bad swim. And because I'm not from a swimming background, and I was quite young, and I wasn't good enough in the swim yet for that level.
And once you missed that group,
and we ended up in a group. There was a big second pack. No one was working. Daniela Ruff that I trained with at the time. So I knew her from training, and we basically did all the camps together. She made that front pack, and I just felt that I could have done better.
Right.
And I wasn't going around and being 18th wasn't what I had wanted for the race. No. But that also made me sit down with my coach in tears, and he was like, right, Lisa, we have 4 years. Let's make a plan, and let's make something really, really good for London.
Does it surprise you now to see what Daniela has done?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Really.
You knew that.
Yeah, well, she's one of a kind on the bike.
You could tell even back then.
Well, she was, because we trained so much together, and you get to know yours. But she was very young at the moment. Yeah. She was 22, 23, but having that engine and the bike strength, she was probably the only one at the time in that kind of race circuit who had that engine.
And did you, of course, at that point, you weren't exposed to the whole 70.3 or Ironman, so you didn't have a sense that she was going to transfer over to the long distance and be that successful. Nobody would have
well,
that.
Well, that was, we were super young and just kind of racing for the WTS races. What was really cool with her too, being training together and both being very competitive, is that you're always dreading the sessions you're going to do together. Yes. Because they're going to be very, very hard. And no one is going to kind of give in or like, oh, it doesn't matter today, but everyone's going to push really hard. Yes. And I think that was brought out a lot of good things in both of us at the time, when you have someone pushing you that hard.
This race, you've got ITU athletes, you get Ironman athletes, you get 70.3 athletes, you got Nicola coming here. How much are you looking forward to this?
Well, these races are the most spectacular races, I think, for both the crowd and for us.
Yes.
Because we don't know quite what to expect.
Yeah.
I think Island House, the first one, that was probably like a very similar experience. Right. But in a smaller setting. So this is kind of that on drugs.
It is, this on steroids. Basically, taking it to the moon. So this in 2018 Swedish National Cycling TT Champion, 2019 Swedish National Road Cycling Champion. Are you thinking of riding the roads for the Olympics?
Well, I've ridden the last two World Championships, road race and time trial. Yeah. And there was a time after Yorkshire last year where we were trying to figure out if it was possible. Right. Because if there was a possibility to do that, it would have been super cool. Yeah, and I would have gone for it.
Go for Olympics in a different sport.
I pushed my sponsors and like, look, I have a different plan. Would you care to join me for plan B instead? But then there's always the political stuff and the practical stuff with the teams and the slots. And we only have one slot for the road race in Sweden. Oh, and you can only send one rider. So that same rider has to do the time trial. Yes. If we would have two slots, there could have been a possibility, and then I probably wouldn't have been here. I would have picked a different path. But with one slot, and we have a girl who's a standout rider for that slot, so I wouldn't compete with her for that one. It would make no sense for me to pursue that.
So for this next year will be 70.3?
And Ironman debut.
Wow, look at you. Yeah. Now, which Ironman are you thinking?
Well, so far it's difficult to make a plan, to be honest.
We don't know what's going to happen, right? Yeah.
But there's probably like an early one in Europe if there is one around.
If there's one around, and then you'll try to qualify and join us in Kona next year.
Well, everyone says it's a very nice breakfast with Bob in Kona.
There is a very nice, we actually have really nice breakfast, and it's right on the beach. And then we do our championship edition. We're top 3 men and women at a place called Four Seasons, which is pretty nice.
So I guess that's a bucket list thing to try to achieve, right?
There you go. I mean, you've been doing this, you're competing ITU races, since 2005. This has been 15 years of this stuff.
Actually, I did my first World Champs 2003. Wow! Junior World Champs.
You still love it?
I still love it. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't be here. Yeah. I would be having a day job and making lots of money somewhere else. Right. But no, I love the sport and I love the lifestyle. I love the people. Yes. And the opportunities, the challenges and the projects that you kind of make out of it.
You also, you just you were able to do a 70.3 in September of 2020. I'm like, wow, look at that. And you're out of the water first, and then you 9-minute lead off the bike, rode 2:15. That's
my boyfriend was there, and he called out when I was going into T2. Yeah. And I was like, did he say 9 minutes? Like, that's not, he must have got the numbers wrong, or I misheard him, and I ran out and it's like, yeah, you got 9 minutes. And then I started counting, how slow can I run then? What's 9 minutes in running? It's actually quite far, 9 minutes. But
at the same time, it's 9 minutes. You still got to run the marathon.
Yeah, you're still going to run
a half marathon. And so 4-time consecutive Swedish national time trial champion. I mean, just when I look at all the different things you've accomplished, so 84 ITU starts, 32 podiums, 17 wins. Your career has been freaking amazing. It's what's left for you?
Well, still I feel very unfinished, because I felt that I got to 2012, which was one heck of a year, really, in many ways.
Great year.
And then I fell off the radar a little bit, and I had so many different struggles because I felt 2012, I was getting where I wanted. Finally, I was there. This is where I want to compete.
Yes.
And I pictured in my head that I was going to continue and improve from there.
This way, yeah.
And I didn't. So
why?
Very different reasons.
Injuries?
Well, so first I've been with Darren from 2007 until 2012.
Right.
So we said like, okay, it's time to do something different and take a break. And maybe in hindsight, it wasn't the best idea, because when I have more decisions about myself, I push myself too hard. And I had many different... You need
someone to control you.
Yeah, and I had different advisors for the bike and the swimming back home, and it just ended up too much.
Right.
Also coming back from the Olympics, being a medalist, I had so much more media obligations than what I ever had before.
Right.
So the loading that year on myself was massive. And then I ended up with plantar fascia problems. The year after I had a stress fracture, and it's just kind of... I got into a bad cycle.
Right.
And it's been very, very difficult to break it.
How'd you get out of it?
Well, I'm still kind of trying to get out of it. I had I qualified for Rio, and then I had a year with Achilles problems, and then I had to do Achilles operation. So that's like 1 year that just disappeared for me. And then I tried to build myself up running. Yeah. And now I changed coaches in the beginning of the year, and my body is now feeling the closest I felt back to 2012 again, which is nice.
Well, your performances are showing that.
Well, it's the running is in progress, so we're really working on getting that fluent, fast running back into it.
Right.
And that's going to take probably a little longer before I am where I want to be, but at least I can feel it's coming back to me.
Well, in this race, I think is pretty well set up for you. With this is a time trial bike course with some wind and a 20-meter draft rule.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. The only thing if I would worry about something is that you can't break it up somewhere. Because in a cycling race, you always look for opportunities where you can make a difference. Exactly.
Yeah.
And here, and I know from last year that it's kind of difficult because you always have eyes on people, and you're it's a very stretchy rubber band.
Well, it's hard to, even with a 20-meter drive, if there's 2-3 people in front of you, you've got to go by all of them.
Yeah,
that makes it really, really difficult.
So it could be exactly, but yeah, definitely it's a pan flat, very strong persons who's quite aerodynamic kind of bike course. Yeah,
exactly. Perfect. Well, I'm excited to watch you race here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah.
Thanks so much for taking time.
Thank you.
Lisa Norden has been our guest, everybody. Again, Breakfast with Bob from Challenge Daytona PTO 2020 Championship. Hold on. We'll be right back.